Hello everyone, welcome to season 5 of the Amanda Natanda Show. I'm Amanda and thank you guys for watching. This season we'll have a totally different vibe as we go topical and we'll be focused on cherishing the men in every aspect, from their mental health to their emotional and social well-being, which will eventually unpack my journey in the last 2 years towards the end of the season. So don't miss any episode for you to understand my journey with the help of my phenomenal guests who will shed light through their journeys as well, which will eventually make sense towards the end of the season. Without further ado, let me introduce you to my guest today. Daniel.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It is actually a pleasure having you here and an honor too, because you know what, we were talking off camera to say it's a blessing that you're here right now, right? Because the topic at hand, as you already know, we're talking about cherishing the man, right? In every aspect. You name it. And one of the issues that men struggle with is talking about their mental health. But initially, I know we meant to talk about grief, which we'll dive into a little bit, but we're going to focus more on the mental health part of things. As you share your story with us so as to encourage other men who struggle making their mental health a priority due to the stigma associated with, just being a man.
Right.
Yeah. Which is so unfortunate. But I am glad that people are now opening up.
It's nice to see that people are finally talking about things.
Right, yeah. Exactly. And you having to say, you know what, I am open to come here.
Yep.
Is something that I was like, okay, so what has Daniel got to say about his journey?
Well, my journey has been a very long one and a bit of a difficult one. I come from a very abusive household growing up. This is where everything kind of started. My father was actually a professional wrestler.
Wow.
Way back in the day, used to hang out with the Hearts and all that.
Yeah.
I
think you mentioned that when we got in touch. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting lifestyle, but as a result, it was very much a macho kind of lifestyle that they all lived. So it was very much, they had to be the man's man, they had to always have that face on that front. They couldn't show sign of weakness because they always had to be in character.
Okay.
And their characters always had to be tough.
Yeah.
So when you have people that have that kind of attitude, it ends up with children having to explain away bruises at school, frequently.
Yeah.
There was more than one occasion when I was a child when I would get hit with that big heavyweight champ belt. The big metal belt?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been hit with that quite a few times.
So my question though from that would be, what was it? Did it come out as normal?
At the time it was. At the time it felt very normal.
Yeah.
Because that's the way things always were.
Okay.
It wasn't until many years later, looking back, when I was no longer living with either of my parents, that I started to realize like that wasn't right.
Yeah.
And that began my journey towards overcoming that and realizing what that had done to me emotionally, mentally, and allowed me to start my first steps towards healing from that.
Right. And so you mentioned also that you suffer from chronic depression and an anxiety disorder.
Yes, I do.
How then did that come to get to that after realizing this wasn't right and then having to get diagnosed with, both of those? They're not easy to tackle because it's being anxious of what's ahead and being depressed of what's behind, and how about living in the present, right?
That's pretty much the only way to deal with it.
Yeah.
When you're constantly anxious, you can't think too far in the future. You can't think, oh, what am I going to be doing next week or the week after, next year? You have to live more in the moment. And when you have the depression, of course, like you said, that's more of the past. Look, I can't always be stuck thinking about the past, got to think about the moment. So with those two things combined, it's really helped me to focus on being able to stay in the moment, to enjoy the moment that I'm in now without letting the past or the future dictate it now.
Right.
It's been a struggle, but it has been a very beneficial one. Okay. And I must say that the biggest thing that has helped me through that is meditation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is another thing that not a lot of men are willing to talk about or even try. But without meditation and that type of mindset, I probably wouldn't be here today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. When it comes to meditation, one would ask, if my mind is not in the right frame, how do I meditate? Because think about, your mind is racing. That's mental health. It's racing constantly, telling yourself the negative stuff, or maybe living in the past and all that fun stuff. So how did you get to a point where you're like, okay, I need to calm down, I need to learn how to meditate, and how did you start that journey?
It was actually just a random thing that I had seen on a documentary. I can't even remember who it was or what it was about, but it was years ago, probably about 2004, 2005, and they were talking about the benefits of meditation. And it was kind of one of those more pseudoscience kind of documentaries. I wouldn't necessarily say it was very based in fact, but I took some of the knowledge from that and I started doing some research. And from that research, it led me to find a method that worked, because anybody can meditate anywhere.
Right.
Anyone. Even right here, it's just a matter of controlling your breathing in order to control your thoughts.
Wow.
So if you can control your breathing, you can control your thoughts.
Right. Yeah.
It's just a matter of slowing things down.
Wow. And so is there a moment that you, in your journey, when you decided, okay, this is what I'm choosing to do, and how am I going to approach life moving forward?
Yes, there was actually a day when a flip kind of switched. And it was, I changed from a very unkind, mean person to the very following day to being a very empathetic, courteous, caring person. And
huggy person.
Right? Right? You gotta get the hugs in. You gotta get the hugs in.
I know.
Yeah. But that day, I had done my research beforehand on the meditation and such, and I spent an entire day, about probably 14 hours. I did not leave my bed, just sat and meditated and thought about my life, what I've been through, what I'm going through, how life is going to be looking like it's going in the future. And I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And so I thought harder. How can I change it? How can I get over that? How can I do something about it? And the answer was to listen.
Wow. You know what's powerful that you just said right now? How can I make a change? I didn't like it. Right? At what point were you tired, frustrated about being, feeling that way? Let's put it that way, right?
Very frustrated.
Ooh.
Very frustrated.
With that being said, did you eventually choose to talk about it?
Not as much.
Okay. And
actually,
what stopped you from doing that?
The whole stigma of the men not having people to talk to or anywhere to go, or the resources or knowledge bases that never used to be available, which are now, thankfully. But this here today is actually one of the first times that I've opened up about this ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, he's the man. I said, he's the man. I said, he's the man. I think that's the camera. He's the man. I am so proud of you, Daniel. But then also, now that you're talking about it, I find people say, oh, this person hurt me. And I feel for me to get closure, I want to tell them how they hurt me, right? And did you go back to, to your parents and say, oh, dad, or, whoever abused you in that aspect, to say, you know what, I feel hurt. I feel this led to who I became at some point in my life, but I forgive you. Or...
I did.
Wow, how did that go?
Very well, actually. This is kind of a karmic thing that happened in regards to this, because my wrestler father, who was the primary abuser, near the end of his wrestling career, at the very end of his wrestling career, he's still alive. He used to do a lot of the hardcore matches. So the stuff that had like a lot more props and like the tacks and the barbed wire, all that stuff. So he was really putting his body through a lot.
Yeah.
And one day during one of the matches, routine thing that they did, you know, those folding chairs, you smack each other with the chair. Well, the guy that he was up against hits him with the chair. That chair took away 30 years of his life. Ended up releasing a blood clot in his brain, and he almost died. And he lost 30 years plus to amnesia.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even remember the childhood I had.
That sucks. Yeah.
He knows what happened because we've talked about it.
Yeah.
And he's very remorseful and regretful about it because, much like myself, he went through a bit of a journey himself, and he has changed as well.
Right.
He's now a very respectable man.
Wow.
And we have a great relationship now. Same thing with my mother. We have a phenomenal relationship.
Yeah.
But he went through a lot. The way that I look at it, actually, I was just talking with my other half last night, and the thing that came up was, he might have taken my childhood from me, but that chair took his life from him.
That's it. That's it.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. And even like we were talking off camera, to say the choices that we make, the choices that we choose to make. And you chose not to get into wrestling.
Yep.
You saw your background, where you came from, and you chose to say, this is not for me.
Correct.
I want to change A, B, C, D. I want to be compassionate. I want to be empathetic. I want to be this kind of person. And look at you now, right?
Now I'm the one that people come to.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
And
the people
how
they run
does that
from.
work, though? How does that work? So do you have guys that actually come to you, men, who say, you know what, dude?
I do. I do, actually.
Yeah.
I have a bit of an interesting online presence where I say pretty much just what's on my mind. I would say most of the time it's very safe for all ages.
Yeah.
But I've also put myself out there as someone that people can message to talk to, anyone. No matter what platform I'm on, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or any of the other various ones, I have made it clear that anybody that wants to message me, they're having a rough time, they can message me and I'll have a chat with them. I may not be, a professional, but I'm an ear.
Yeah, and it helps, especially when you end up telling or talking to people to say, you know what, I know this. I know this maybe firsthand, or maybe if you're not too open about it to them, just to console them in a way.
Exactly.
Right? And it makes sense, like, especially coming from the same, agenda, to say, I'm a man, I get it. And it's okay to be human.
Yes.
Right.
And a lot of people just need to hear that.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. And even just, I am so proud of you for even creating that space for people to come and talk to you, because not a lot of people are able to do that. Talk about, I bet you know about this, where men are told to be macho, men are told not to cry, men are looked at as not human.
Correct.
Right? And so you being able to open up and talk about these things, how at first did you get to a point where I'm like, okay, let's just do this?
Well, at first it was a little difficult.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. It's just like, I don't know if I want to talk about this kind of stuff. Like, it's very personal. But then the more I thought about it, well, I offer that to somebody else. And if somebody's giving me that opportunity to talk to them, and for yourself with a platform that gets the message out to even more people, then I would be very remiss not to for this particular case. But in the beginning of things, it was just a matter of knowing that, just like me, people needed someone to talk to.
Right.
I needed someone to talk to. I didn't always have it.
Right.
And if somebody would have reached out at different times in my life and just said, hey, if you need to talk, I'm here, things might have been different.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so do you think there are more male groups, support groups for the men now? And do you even refer them to those groups if you do know of them?
There are a lot more groups. I'm not sure which ones specifically are in this area right now.
Okay.
But I haven't had to reach out beyond personal circles in quite a while.
Okay.
So that's fortunate for my regard. But Yeah, I'm not sure what's in the area, but I have told people that if it's something that is a serious issue, that don't be afraid to reach out. Like, don't be afraid to contact a therapist, a psychologist. That's what they're there for.
Right.
They're not there to judge you.
Yeah.
They're not there to look down on you and just be like, oh, this person's just crazy. Like, just no. That's not their job.
This person is a man, so
Yeah,
we
it's like,
can't
no,
deal
no.
with you.
Yeah, no. Exactly. That's the big stigma.
Yeah.
If I can just help one person find some help that they need, it's a life worth living.
Right. Yeah. So, guys, you heard it for yourselves. Feel free to look for Daniel Steiger on Facebook, right?
Usually on Twitter.
Oh, usually on Twitter.
Twitter is my biggest presence. Facebook is more a secondary kind of presence.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll look for you on Twitter. I thought it was Facebook because a lot of people are like, okay, the first thing I do is like I ask is Instagram, and then I hear a lot of people say Facebook, and then I'm saying Facebook and like Twitter. I'm like, okay, we need to just say what social platform.
That is fair.
Right, it is fair, right?
That is fair,
Not to assume more than anything. So feel free to approach him. He is very open to listening. He is very open to sharing what he can.
Yes.
Especially the love.
And my private messages are always open to anyone.
Right.
I don't have it blocked off to only people that follow me kind of thing. So anyone can message me.
Right. And that is awesome. You just heard it for yourselves, guys. It's not me alone, but you heard it from him. So do you think that our generation, or rather today's world, is doing a good job at addressing issues of men's mental health? I think it's also kind of similar.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're definitely getting there. I think we still have some steps to take.
Yeah.
But we're definitely moving in the right direction.
Right. And is there, how best can women, as nurturing as we are, though sometimes I know some people will be like, you have no idea what men go through. You have no idea. And I've been told, who are you to want to represent men? You don't even know what. And somebody else was like, I'm not going to watch your show. But I was like, no, you know what? I think we need to continue talking about it regardless of me being a woman, because I find me being a nurturer might even help in the journey.
I think it would.
Healing.
You have that kind of very positive energy about you.
Yeah. Oh, I have the positive energy, as in me, is in specific. I'm kidding. But but thank you so much for that compliment. So how best as us women, the nurturers, can we help the men, seeing that you as a man are able to do that?
Honestly, the biggest thing, the same thing that I would tell a man the other way, just listen. Yeah. Everybody has cues, things that they say, body language that they have, just something. Yeah. You'll notice if your significant other or somebody that you know, you'll know if there's something not right. Yeah. If there's something bugging them, you'll know. Right. And don't be afraid to ask. Right. Yeah. Just be like, hey, you seem like you're kind of down today. Everything all right? Is everything okay? You doing all right? Like, those 3 words, you doing all right? Can go a long way. That's it. Doesn't even have to be said properly. Don't even have to have the G in doing. That's it. Right? That's it. But then, okay, now that you even mentioned on the significant other, this becomes tricky. In the sense that maybe somebody may not be aware. That does happen because a lot of people do hide what they're feeling. Yeah. And in those situations, then the person that's hiding what they're feeling really needs to work on themselves, because at that point, the people around them can't help. Yeah, I've gotten to that point too, where I see some situations and I'm like, you can tell that they still built up anger, that there's lots of some things that you can literally tell, I cannot approach this, right? And tell yourself that they need to make a choice on their own. They need to say, you know what, enough is enough, like what you said. How best can I make changes and whatever? But I think the concern though would be, does it mean me being in a relationship or marriage with that person, I need to let it go? Because it might end up becoming abusive. It might end up becoming, ending up in shambles. If things end up going to the abusive road, then you're in the wrong place. Absolutely. Obviously. Yeah. But in those types of situations where you feel like you can't say anything, you need to ask yourself, why can't I? What's stopping me?
Yeah.
Is it a fear of the person that I'm talking to? Is it a fear of the conversation? What am I afraid of? Because it all comes down to fear. If it's something that you're not wanting to say to something, it's because you're afraid of something.
Right.
Whether it's their response or the fallout of it. Apologies for the tripping over my words. But,
that's right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if a person's not willing to be open, there's nothing that we can really do.
There's nothing, and you don't want to fix anybody.
No.
It's not your place to fix
people. A person needs to be able to make the first steps themselves.
Yeah.
It's that whole old saying, like it's a very old saying, but it's very true. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't.
But you can't force it.
Exactly.
You cannot. Yeah.
You can provide them with as much information as needed.
Yeah.
Like I was very fortunate. I have a significant other who actually set me up with a couple of friends that I could talk to years ago when we first got together, and that was quite nice.
Right.
And they're some of my best friends in the world right now.
Oh wow.
I've only got a couple, but.
Yeah.
Quality over quantity, right?
That's it. Yeah. And that's what I always say. Quality over quality, doesn't matter the number. But And so I'm trying to remember the question. Yeah, we spoke about this off camera too, to say what do you know now that you wish you knew back then?
Well, everything.
Everything in regards to the journey, or in regards to choices, in regards to what's everything. Everything bagel.
That no matter how bad things are getting, there's always a light.
That's it, at the end of the tunnel.
Always a light at the end of that tunnel.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's really far away or just around the corner, there's a light there.
Right.
And you have to keep striving for that light if you want to make the improvements for yourself.
Right.
To be able to find the help that you need.
Right.
To get out of that.
Right.
But
wow.
It's just a struggle.
Right. But no, I am so grateful for just you coming through, sharing your story, and also opening up doors for people to say, you know what, it's okay, come and talk. I'm here to listen. I am here just to be a friend more than anything, right? It doesn't necessarily have to mean, oh yeah, let's go for drinks or whatever. But then it's just talking, right? We need that opportunity to say things out, right?
Exactly.
And so where can people find you on your socials, like Twitter? Like what's your handle or?
At Real Froz, Frozz.
Okay.
And it's a bit of an interesting account. You'll see quite a few things on there.
I'll be on it.
Yeah, shouldn't be anything that's adult oriented.
Okay.
I try to be very careful about that with my online presence, but some of the language is very colorful.
Oh, okay. Okay, no, that is awesome.
But my messages are always open for anyone.
Okay, definitely. We will come through, and hopefully people have heard it for themselves to say, you know what, Danny is human too, so I can be human. And we love that. Thank you so much, Daniel, for coming through. It was a pleasure and an honor having you here, and even sharing your story. It's not easy to open up to, especially the past, and say, you know what, I've been there. But then again, it's worth talking about.
It is.
Right.
It opened up some old wounds, but at the same time, it's also helped me to stitch them back closed.
There you go.
Yeah. Exactly.
Come on now. You heard it for yourselves. Thank you so much for tuning in. And this is Daniel yet again. We appreciate him coming over, sharing his story, sharing his love, if I should put it that way, because I feel it's all out of love, because you wouldn't be here and say, okay, I'm just going to go there and just put my out there. Right? But I also want to help people, and this is how I can do it the best way I can. Right?
Exactly.
We can always, all we can do is try the best way we know how. And this season we're talking about cherishing the men. As you can hear today, we're focusing on men's mental health. So please do stay tuned for the next episode of the Amanda Notando Show. Thank you for watching. Till next time, remember, little girls with dreams become women of vision. Take care and God bless you. Mwah. Bye.